Imagine a world free of diseases, where there's no longer a need for hospital, medicines, injections, or even surgery. Decades ago, these might still sound like a pie-in-the-sky fantasy, but not far from now, this may well be the reality. Thanks to the advancing genetic engineering technologies, people are now able to grasp better control over their child's health, ensuring that their children are free from the torment of the many incurable diseases. From selective breeding to gene therapy, all parents ever wanted is to make sure that their children will have at least a healthy, if not perfect, life. Gene therapy may well be the way out of this. The idea of passing on only the more ideal genes has existed for a long time. The earliest form of genetic engineering is selective breeding. Back when Hitler is still the ruler of Germany, his way of ensuring that only the best gets passed on was by killing and sterilizing the inferior ones. For obvious reasons, such actions would come across mountainous obstacles in today's society. But now, parents of the 20th century are presented with a much less extreme yet more accurate means to ensure the well-being of their offspring. Tempted though they might be, most parents are still hesitant about it, and let's see why. Now let's take a look at a story about the Sabins brother. John and Charles are both the carrier of the genes that could lead to Huntington disease. John, being the older of the two, has become the first to suffer from it. Once recognized as the brightest lawyer in UK, he is now not even capable of walking or talking. Meanwhile, there's little that Charles can do to help his brother, or himself really, as the same fate very likely awaits him. The conditions of the Sabins brothers can be avoided nowadays by just a single switch in the genes. With the discovery of CRISPR technology, scientists and doctors are now capable of concisely targeting unwanted genes with unimaginable accuracy and at a relatively low cost. Working alongside CRISPR, there are pre-implantations, genetic diagnosis, and prenatal genetic screenings. With these technologies, many inheritable diseases can be prevented and even removed from the family tree once and for all. Sounds pretty awesome, right? Once the law has been passed on that, even the government can benefit from it, for their medical expenses can be dramatically reduced with people having a longer life expectancy and leading a much healthier life. All of these sounds just about perfect, as simple gestures that can help many people. But as much as you're excited about it, I'm also sure that you're a little bit creeped out by it at the same time. And here comes the catch. How exactly do we define diseases? To what lengths shall one be allowed to alter and select the genes? One may say that diseases are obviously something that can harm your health and affect our life quality. True, it might be, and the first thing that comes to our mind would probably be things like cancer and diabetes. Then, what about obesity and alcoholism? And when you think about it, in a way, being too short or not clever enough or too ugly can also affect the quality of our life. So where do we draw the line? To know more about disease, who better to ask than the disabled themselves? Now, let's have a look into another story about Ruthie Wessels, a young basketball player who's also an albino, which means that she's virtually completely blind. As one can imagine, poor eyesight is not exactly the most ideal quality that a basketball player should have. Despite being the worst player at first, she didn't give up and go the extra miles, practicing every minute of every single day, eventually becoming a fairly competent player. When she looks back, she's thankful for her conditions that makes her strong and taught her perseverance. So, the argument here is that perfect health is not necessarily the best thing for children. While most people without disability only focuses on the drawbacks that disability would bring them, those who have disability think quite differently. Taking the deaf community as an example, they tend not to think of their deafness as a disability, but rather a gift. And they value their culture so much that one couple would even go on to deliberately select a deaf gene for their child, so that they can be the same. In fact, many disabled persons like Ruthie would even go on to say that their disability have taught them valuable life lessons that they would otherwise have not been able to learn had they been healthy.
Created using Powtoon.